Welcome to She Sells Radio. I am so excited for today's episode. And I got to give just a quick housekeeping first. As we record this, we just moved in, literally housekeeping. That's so funny. I'm making myself laugh. Funny analogy, but we just moved into our new place and I don't have my podcast equipment unpacked yet. So hopefully the audio is going to be okay on this. We're using our old trusty headphones for the audio here, but sometimes that's what you got to do when you're moving places. So part of why, though, I am so excited about today is that I get to introduce you to a woman who has literally changed my life. And I met this woman right after we had launched what's become our signature program, but it was a brand new program at the time, the 10K Club. And I had no idea if this thing was going to resonate, if women were going to want it. I was actually still working more full-time with another company I had helped launch a few years ago in the personal branding space. And the whole She Sells brand was kind of like my side hustle and my passion project. But when we launched, it was like, okay, women want this. And it took off in some pretty incredible ways that I didn't expect. And I found myself very quickly with this like full-fledged business that I was managing totally on my own for the first time. And I'd helped grow and scale companies before, but had never done it, on my own. And I remember I had read Rocket Fuel. If you've read Rocket Fuel, you know about like the very classic, it's about the visionary and integrator relationship. And so if you've read it, you know about the classic visionary, which means like you have a million ideas. Some of them are great, many of them aren't, but if you're like me, you think all of them are. Like you want to do them all at once and you hate the detail work. You're like, I don't want to figure out how it all comes together. I just know it needs to come together. And that is very much me. But I found myself trying to do both the role of the visionary and the integrator, just because I didn't have anybody else on my team like that. And so one day I had this beautiful light bulb that was like, it is time to get some help and get an amazing integrator in here. And I got connected through our community to this most amazing woman who has come in and is now the integrator for the She Sells team and business. And so after all of that build up, the woman who you're going to get to hear from and learn from today is Angela Greaser. And she is the co-founder of a company called All the Ops, along with her husband, Dan. And she has been the right hand for little entrepreneurs you might have heard of, like Cathy Heller, Sheri Salata, who's the former executive producer of the Oprah Winfrey Show. She's just brilliant at all things marketing, systems, and operations. And she's also, she's a wife, she's a mom to the two cutest little girls, and she lives in Maine on a farm with chickens, which I'm hoping we're going to somehow talk about today, Angela. If we can weave in chickens to the conversation, I would be here for it. So
it's just going to naturally happen. It's always part of the conversation.
That's really what everybody wants, is if we could please not talk about systems, but really just talk about chickens. That would be delightful. So welcome. That was probably the longest intro I've ever done, but I was like, I feel like there's so much to say about who you are and how you've helped. And I'm so glad that you're here today.
Well, thank you so much for having me. And it's great to be on the other side of She Sells Radio. I've been in the back end of She Sells Radio for quite some time, and I'm glad to be, here on the other side of the mic.
It is so good to have you here. And, I know you didn't start off, like, I want to hear a bit of the origin story. So I'm guessing you didn't start off like in your life being like, I'm going to be the systems pro and come in and, help these pretty incredible entrepreneurs you've worked with, like grow and scale their businesses. But how did this all start for you? Where did you get started with all of this?
I got started in line at Walmart.
Are you serious?
I'm 100% serious.
Okay, I'm excited because I don't know this about you.
So my background, and I am still currently a certified teacher, elementary school teacher. And out of college, I ended up working in the nonprofit realm, worked actually with low-income high school students, getting them scholarships and mentors and into post-secondary education and all of that. And then I kind of transitioned so from one nonprofit to kind of another nonprofit where I was the assistant director and later promoted to director of an early learning center. So about 200, 250 kids, depending on the time. And I was really doing it all, right? Like if you've ever worked in education or a nonprofit, budgets are tight. You don't really have anything to work with. So you learn the skills that you need to learn on the job. Again, my background was education, my degree, that all important degree was education. But in that moment in my life, I was in charge of budgets and marketing and websites and also curriculum development and team management and enrollment and working with children directly. So I really was in charge of so many different things. And it was a beautiful, wonderful time in my life, but it was very, very demanding. It was very exhausting. And we had, oh gosh, when we were pregnant with our very first, with Ellie, she's 7 now. But when we were pregnant with her first, we were like, oh, perfect job, right? Like I'm the director of early learning center. We got free childcare for our children, as a director of the early learning center. And so I was like, this is going to be great. I'm going to bring my baby to school. This is going to be so awesome. It's going to be great. Well, I didn't think about it at the time, but once you get there, you don't really see, they're in the same building as you, but I didn't see her very often. And I was there, 50, 60 plus hours a week, which means she's there 50, 60 hours a week. Cause my husband, Dan, was working, in corporate HR actually at the time. And so it was getting to feel really heavy. And at the time I had no idea at all about working for myself or especially the entrepreneurial space. Like I could understand, like my friend's dad is an electrician and he has his electrician business, or, these very tangible things that you think about. Oh, they started a store. She's a florist, things like that. I had no concept of the online business space. And there was one day and it was very soon after I had gotten back to work after having Ellie and she was at the school with me, that we had to go stop at Walmart on the way home. And I'm in line with my baby at Walmart. And you guys know the lines at Walmart are always hugely long, unreasonably long. So you're like going to be best friends with the person you're standing in line behind. So this woman turns around and she's talking to me about the weather and the community and all of the normal things you talk about when you're small talking with people. And then she starts talking to me about, I work in this law firm and we just switched to digital files and I'm so stressed out. And like, I just don't feel like I know what I'm doing. And I've been doing this for so long, but I'm not good with this. And I can organize a cabinet, but I can't do it digitally. I'm like, oh, I do that all the time. I can totally help you with that.
And that's where it started.
And she's like, oh, great. How much do you charge? And I was like, in my mind, I'm like, what are you talking? Like, I'm just trying to be helpful and nice because we use digital files and hard copy files at the early learning center. So I could totally help you. And like in my brain is just going like a million miles. I'm like, what is happening? What is going on? And so literally in that moment, she asks me what I charge and I give her a number, like just like that on my feet, give her a number. Cause I'm thinking in my head, well, I make this much as the director of this center, which let me tell you was not very much.
I'm feeling like this number is probably lower than what you would advise somebody to charge today.
Yes, I would very, very much encourage you to not charge this. But in the moment, I was just like, okay, so this is what I make. So I should charge a little bit more and then I'll be good to go. Like then I'll feel really good about doing this. And so I gave it, she's like, awesome. Can we start tomorrow? I was like, yes, we can.
You gave a really low number, but that is, oh my gosh. Okay. So keep going.
I got home and I was like, hey, Dan, I think I just started a business. And he's like, what are you talking about? You were going to Walmart. Like what happened? And then it ended up being this really cool thing where I had she was literally my first client, and I helped her and the law firm, and then it just kind of grew. And then I ended up getting introduced to people from my mentor from the early learning space. Her daughter, another person that you should meet, Jessica Rhodes. She's the founder of Interview Connections. They were the first podcast booking service ever. And I was lucky enough to have been mentored by her mom. And her mom was like, you need to meet Jessica.
Wow.
And Jessica really brought me into the online space. So all of these little brick and mortar clients that I had, really just helping with organization and different like back end admin type tasks. Then I started shifting to the online space and working with Jessica and working with podcasters. I got to meet so many amazing people and really understand what the online entrepreneurial space was. And just progressively, client by client, I was able to leave and be able to be at home, like leave my education career and be at home. And it's just one step right after the other, continually taking scary action and just being available to say, yes, I can help you, even though every doubt could come in your mind that, well, you don't have a business degree. You don't have experience in that. You're a teacher. You're at a daycare. Like who do you think you are? But I am just the type of person that if someone needs something, or if I see a problem I think I can solve, I cannot not raise my hand and say, hey, let me help you.
I can help with it. Yeah. Well, and so two things. One, we probably won't get too much into this, but I can only imagine how working with children for so long has prepared you for clients.
Oh, yes.
I hope I haven't been quite as bad as the 2-year-olds, but maybe sometimes. But the other piece of that, what I love about what you shared is that you, like, so often people will, and it happens more with women than with men. I've never really had this problem, but I've seen so many like really talented women say, I'm not ready to do that because I don't have a degree in it. I haven't been doing it for 10 years. I'm not qualified, yada, yada. But you're just like, yeah, I can help with that. And here's a number real quick, and boom, there you, and like, you're off. So I love that you did that, and that's how it started, because it's like, that shows the potential of what happens when we just say yes to what life brings us. So when it's in alignment with who we are, which is so, so powerful.
Yeah. And it really is, in this day and age, we have every piece of information at our fingertips. And there's no reason. Did I have a background in working in a law office? No. Did I know anything about like the legalities and, the security certifications, certificates, all of those things that go, I can't even say it, never mind know about it. But all of those things that I could have stood there and said, oh, and been so empathetic with this woman and said, oh yeah, that's so hard. We have that too. And that's hard, and gone on our merry way. And my life would have stayed the same.
Yeah.
But because I know that I'm a problem solver, and because I know there's a beautiful, wonderful thing called the internet out there, that if I can't figure things out on my own with the skills that I have, I can Google things, and I can connect with people who might know better than me, or I could subcontract some work in if I need a specialist to come in and help me. There's options. There's no reason to not take action and to not step up when there is a need that you can fill, because we are so blessed to be in a period of history where we have so much information at our fingertips if we're willing to put in the work and learn it.
Amen. Amen. Amen to all of that. And so for somebody who's listening and maybe they aren't familiar with Rocket Fuel, they're like, at least like Visionary, Integrator, what is this? So what does an integrator do? Like, this is, I think I didn't know for so many years. And then when I found out that what you do exists, I was like, this is everything I've ever needed in my life. So if somebody's not familiar, what does an integrator do?
Yeah. So when you're looking at a business and you're looking at starting a business, or someone who has their own business, there's these different compartments of what's happening. And with a visionary, the visionary is the person who is truly seeing what is the meat, what is the substance of what this business is. Because people aren't coming to you to know how to set up all of these systems, or how to set up the bookkeeping services, or all of these different details that go into running a business. If you're the visionary and you are Elyse Archer, the sales coach, or you are the vegan cookbook master, who, whatever your specialty is that thing. Your vision is that thing. And that's what people want from you. That the more that you are able to operate within that visionary role, where your zone of genius is, where the thing that people actually want from you, the more that you are able to operate in that space, the more profitable your business is going to become. So an integrator is somebody who can come alongside you, can come alongside the visionary and say, okay, visionary says, I have this idea for a virtual summit to bring together all the different vegan cooks of all the different things that are happening in the world. And we're going to have this beautiful summit. Okay, great. So what do we do next? The integrator is the person who says, okay, let's look at that vision. We want to do a virtual summit. So these are the different aspects that we need. These are the budgets that we need. This is the type of marketing we need to do, and really puts the feet to the vision. It really puts the hands and the feet and the action to the vision, and is able to then disperse that vision to the other people on the team. So the integrator, I always say that an integrator has the aspects of a visionary, but they also have the aspects of the implementers, because the implementers are our virtual assistants. There are marketing consultants. They're the people who are getting the work done. They're implementing the vision, right? The integrator is taking the vision and then breaking it down into the workable pieces for the implementer. But if you are going to have a good integrator, they have to be a visionary. They have to be able to catch your vision and sit beside you and say, yes, I see it, or yes, and it. That was one of our favorite things that Cathy Heller and I would do. We would get on Zoom and she'd be like, all right, this is my vision. And I would look at her and say, yes, and we can do this, and we can do this. So somebody who can sit beside you and level up the vision that you have and let you see further, because they understand what it takes to actually implement it, what a program will look like, what a membership will actually look like and cost, and the reach and the impact that it can have, and can help you elevate it to the best version that it can be. And then that integrator also needs to have the ability and the willingness to be an implementer. Because from my perspective, and this has always been my philosophy, is if there's a hole, if there's a ball that's dropped, it's my job as the integrator to catch that ball, to fill that hole. So if that means I need to teach myself TikTok real quick because I don't know what I'm doing, and our marketing person just left or had a family emergency, it's not the job of the visionary to jump in and learn TikTok. It's my job. It's my job to figure out what we're doing and to get things posted and to fill the holes as necessary, while still keeping the vision and the direction of the business aligned with where it needs to go.
Oh my gosh. All of what you just said. And one of the things that I appreciate that you shared too, because I know when I first started just looking into this and looking into the relationship, I was like, what's the difference between like a virtual assistant, an executive assistant, and an integrator? Because I know for a lot of people, their first hire is an assistant, like a VA of some sort. And they may be wondering like, well, what's the difference? And how do I know who to hire? So I think you just explained it beautifully, but how do you know when it's time to bring someone in at this level? Because it is a higher level position. You know, it's not if you do it right, it's not like a cheap hire, right? So it's world changing. Like I think as we talk, we'll kind of talk about some of the things you've done in our business, and just from like a stress level, the stuff you've taken off of me. So God bless you, woman. But like, when do you know when it's time to go to that level and to bring someone on at this, in this role in your business?
I think it all goes back to being very, very self-aware. Where are your attentions going? Where is your energy going? Because if the majority of your day is spent managing your virtual assistant, or managing your marketing people, or trying to explain your vision over and over and over, if you feel like you are the person who is doing the visioning and the figuring out of all of the things, and it's taking away from the time that you have to create, to serve your clients, to be in the mode of operation that you want to be in that visionary role. If you feel like you're getting to that point, that's when you really want to step back and start looking at higher level hires to bring in someone who has those integrator qualities. And it might not be a jump, from I have one VA to I have a director of operations. There might be, there's a lot of online business managers who are out there who it's kind of like, I always see that as in between that integrator role and the virtual assistant role. And what that role can really do is somebody to manage all of the pieces, but they're not necessarily going to be the strategic partner that can take your ideas and flesh them out. And when I talk about fleshing it out, I really mean literally, Elyse, you could say to me, Angela, November, we're doing a virtual summit. What do you think? And I would say, awesome. Give me an hour and I'll come back at you with what we can do. And I can come up with,
really
right? Because
Yeah.
I know, what do I know as your integrator? I know your vision. I know your heart. I know your budget, what you want to work with. I know your revenue goals. So I can craft it all and put it all together into this package of, okay, here's some ideas. Here's 3 ideas for some names. Here is 10 speakers that we can invite. And I take all of those details off of your plate. And that way you can keep showing up and serving your clients. If you are a front facing person who was serving your clients like that, or you can be into the content creation, the things that I really encourage you to do if you're thinking about bringing on an integrator or an OBM or even any hires at all, think about where you are when you're in your zone of genius. What are the things you're doing in your day that nobody else can do? And that's a really challenging thing for business owners to own. What can nobody else do but me? And if somebody else can be doing it, or a piece of software can be doing it, some type of system can automate it, then that's what needs to be happening. And that's a hard thing to let go of, because when you are a solo founder and you have your hands in everything and you're used to juggling all the balls and carrying all the weight of the business, even just little things like giving away your inbox, where that's like that front line of defense, which is one of the first things I strip away from founders when I'm working with them. There, all of those things, if somebody else can or something else can be doing it, they should be doing it. Because if you are spending time doing something that somebody else can do, you're not being the founder, you're not being the president, you're not being the visionary, you are being a doer. And that's not where, it's not about this notoriety of, oh, this is below me and I cannot possibly do these tasks and I cannot possibly post to my Instagram. And that's not what we're saying at all. What we're saying is your business will be the most profitable. You will be the most fulfilled when you are doing the things that only you can do in your business.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It's so spot on. And it's from an emotional standpoint too. There's a lot of growth that happens there, because it takes practice to be helped and be served at that level. Right. And I know for myself, like that's still something that I'm growing in, where I'll like have an idea and you'll be like, perfect, here's what we need to do. And then like, I want to go in and be like, awesome. Like, what do I need to do? And where do you need help? And you're probably like, you're always like, I've got it, I can handle it. And part of me always is like, wait, it's like, really? Like, I don't need to help more. I don't need to do more. So it takes practice and help. But from a mindset perspective, as founders, like I love what you shared, and you're a founder too. So you have this really dynamic dual role, but it takes practice to step out and to see yourself more in that role of like, no, it really is okay for me to just be doing these things in my zone of genius. How do we shift our mindset there? Like, I think that's one thing that would be really helpful to talk about, is for someone who is, wanting to hire an integrator, or maybe they're working with somebody in this role, but they're still like, they're finding themselves getting in the weeds and maybe not even feeling worthy of that level of support. Because that's something that I think happens that we don't often talk about, because it does take kind of shifting your mindset to see yourself in that way. Like, what are some mindset things we can do? I hope this question is making sense. In my mind, it makes sense, but what are some mindset shifts that founders can make to help them step back and actually like release control of all the things?
Yeah, I think number one is just really claiming what we were just talking about before, and that it's not about you elevating yourself and creating this false hierarchy. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the fact that people are coming to you for what you have to offer, for your specific type of coaching, for your specific program, for your specific cookbook, whatever it is. That's what they're coming to you for. They're not coming to you so that they can learn how to manage an inbox or post on Instagram, or that's not what they're coming to you for. So the more we can give the people what they want, the more your business is going to grow, the more impact you're going to have. And that is a very, very powerful and very unselfish mindset to have, because it's not just about the bottom line. It's about the impact that you are having on your business. And if you are stuck with your nose to the ground, doing your bookkeeping that you hate doing, or, whatever those tasks are that are just not great, then when you have your nose down, you don't have your chin up, you don't have your eyes to your audience, you don't have that pulse that you could have as close as you could have if you were separating yourself from the tasks that you don't need to be. So giving yourself permission to step into that, knowing that it's fulfilling for you, because we all know when we're in our zone of genius, it is so freeing. And it feels great, but it's not just about you. It's about the impact that you are having. And your impact will always be limited when your time and energy is limited by these things that aren't your zone of genius, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So I would say that's a really big thing to claim and to step into. And I think another thing is to get very clear and confident on your core values. Because when you know what you want and you know how you want to accomplish it, then you will be able to be a better leader. Because as a visionary, you are still a leader. You might not be managing the day-to-day tasks of your team. You still might be. You might be managing different things that are coming through. But as the leader, you need to know what your core values are. This is one of the biggest ones that I see conflict happening on teams, or people firing people, or being unhappy with the level of work, or contractors feeling frustrated by their clients and people that they're working with. It's the difference between action and perfection. That is one of the biggest core values that you need to get really, really straight, because you could be really frustrated with your team saying, why didn't they get this done? Why isn't this out there? And your team is sitting there saying, well, it's not, she didn't approve this and this and this, or this didn't happen, or this picture is a little bit blurry, or whatever those little minutia details are. Do you value them taking action and initiative? And maybe it's a little bit imperfect. Maybe we go back and tweak the email for the next round. Maybe, all of those little things where those tiny bottlenecks end up happening on your team. Do you value your team and yourself? Do you value them to just do it, get it out there, keep the ball rolling? If I'm coaching a client, if I'm off with my family and I'm not available to help or approve something, am I empowering you to continue to take action? Do I value that? Or do I value perfection? And I'm telling you right now, that is up to you to decide. I'm not sitting here saying action or perfection, do it messy, do it perfect. I'm not saying that. You just have to decide what you value, and you need to communicate that to your team. If you're going to be gone, for a few days, or you've got a retreat that you're running, and there's going to be social media posts going out while you're gone, do you want them to just post it and get it out there? And maybe there's something you would have said differently, but you're happy that it's out. Or do you say, no, please don't do anything outward facing until I'm back? where I can approve everything that's going out, where I can approve every email, or I can tweak every design before it goes out, before it's shared with our students, things like that, that we assume we know people's core values. We assume that, oh, they never should have posted that. Why would they put that out there? Well, maybe they value action over perfection. And so getting what those core values are, and that's just one example, understanding what those are for yourself and your business, and then communicating that to every single contractor that comes in. So you're onboarding someone and you say, hey, I want you to know, these are some things that are really important to me. I don't want one email going out unless I've approved it, unless I've dotted every I. It's really important that it's my voice. Or it's, hey, you know me, I just want it out there. I want people to hear from me, whatever that is, taking the initiative to communicate that. So there's not that, you know how it is when you're dealing with different personalities and different work styles. And especially now with, we're all remote, and a lot of the world is remote now as far as having a fully distributed team. So those communication pieces have to be really important, and they have to be clearly communicated.
Oh my gosh. I feel like I just got a great lesson from you there, because I think that's one of the things where I wasn't clear. And I actually don't think I've ever had that conversation with someone, bringing them on the team. So I'm so glad you said that. But you reminded me while you were talking of a conversation that my executive assistant had with me maybe a year or two ago, of like, she was like, Elyse, I don't feel like I can do things fully because I feel like you're not going to be happy with the result, or you're going to tell me it should have been tweaked. Or so I think I was like, I really wanted her to take action, but I think I'd been sending that energy of like, no, it needs to be perfect, which is a super confusing place to be for somebody. So that's such an important like conversation that we can be having. And again, not making one right or one wrong, but just to know for you, like, what do you care about and what's important to you as well. So I so appreciate that you shared that, because I think that's something we're going to implement way better on our team moving forward too. Is just that clarity.
And knowing, giving yourself, I think the last kind of mindset shift that I would say in conjunction with that is to give yourself the grace and the expectation that these things are agile, that these things are going to change. Your core values might change as you are growing and scaling. Things that were once important to you might not be that important, or vice versa. As you're learning what's important to your ideal client, your priorities and your core values as a team might change. So give yourself the grace, give yourself the expectation that things will change. It's like what we say when we're raising kids. It's like, as soon as you get the phase figured out of like diapers and like nap schedules, then it's going to change. Like 2 days
100%.
later, once you have it down, it's going to change. And their business is like that too. Hopefully not that dramatic as raising young kids, but that you just have to go in with the expectation that you're never going to have it all figured out. It's never going to be 1 + 1 = 2. You're always going to have to look down the line and be growing and scaling. And that's a good thing. It's a good thing to be agile, but to continue to communicate what those expectations are to your team and to even your audience and what they can expect from you as you're growing. Just be agile, be ready to change, be ready to grow.
Oh my gosh. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I want to switch gears and talk for a moment about sales, because one of the things that I appreciate most about you is just how aligned philosophically you are with how we talk about sales and teach sales at She Sells, which is like, it doesn't have to be the down and dirty, like old school, pushy type of methods that are still being taught so frequently. And you've got an incredible podcast, Sell Me Something Good, you and your co-host, Melissa. And I know I just love your philosophy on sales. So I would love to hear, here's what I would love to hear, because you've been front lines, you've been behind the scenes, helping with sales in so many different organizations, and you've seen the good, the bad, the ugly. Like, what are some of your biggest core beliefs that you've developed about sales over the years, just from the work that you've done?
Well, it's funny because never in a million years would I think I would have a podcast about sales. Like, I'm not a sales coach. I'm not, like, that's just not my that's not where I hang my hat, where I say, this is me. I'm a sale, like I'm all about sales strategy. But I found as I have been an integrator, as I have really grown from just an integrator to really being a growth strategist, and growth meaning revenue, sales, programming, but also team growth and what that looks like and how to manage it and how to structure it so that growth is sustainable. So that's really kind of this niche that I found myself in. And whether it was the people who were in the programs that I was helping to run, or it was these amazing thought leaders, the problems were the same in sales. A lot of these mindset problems, a lot of the issues that people are having is everybody wants to sell. Everybody needs to sell, or you don't have a business. If you don't have revenue coming in, you don't have a business. And my friend Melissa Camilleri and I, we come from very different, very similar, meaning we both have educational backgrounds, but our niches where we found ourselves in the online entrepreneurial space were very different. And she is a master at curriculum development, at the product, at the end result, at moving coaching clients, moving students who are going through any type of program to the end result, how to move people there where they need to be. What is the outcome that we want our programs to have in the end? And what we really found was there was this disconnect between the marketing and the outcomes. And there was this almost, I was literally just boxing her about this yesterday, but it's almost like this paper, like we have these paper thought leaders and these paper leaders where we're going to show you this image and we're going to get you to buy this program. And we're going to talk about 6 figures, 7 figures, 8 figures, wherever we're going to talk about, but then the substance of the transformation is not there. And so we either have people who are struggling to make the sale, but the outcome and the result is there and they're passionate and they have integrity in their program. And then on the flip side, you have lots of sales happening, but then the outcome isn't there and the transformation isn't there. And so what we are so passionate is bringing the outcomes and the marketing together, bringing the sales strategy together with the outcomes, because how great would it be if when you're scrolling Instagram, you're a coach in the online entrepreneurial space, you're scrolling Instagram, and instead of getting beat with ads that say, we're going to take you to your next 7-figure launch and 8 figures this and all these figures. And how amazing would it be if we had these thought leaders talking about the transformation that was happening in their programs? How amazing would it be if we could get sales strategy that was so aligned with the outcomes that we were promising that the sales just naturally would come, that we would operate within integrity, that we would operate from a place of abundance, not from a place of grabbing and scarcity and feeling like we can't get there, because we know the transformation. And when you're confident in the transformation that your program, your product, your coaching is going to accomplish, your marketing is going to follow suit, and you will attract to the right people and you will get the sales because it is completely aligned with who you are and it's completely aligned with the outcome of your program. So we are kind of on a mission right now to help everything align and to help people take to have programs that they're confident in, but that are abundant, that are making the sales that they need, and to stop dancing around it and stop blaming people. Because there's also something we were talking about a little bit in the podcast episode that we recorded with you, Elyse, for Sell Me Something Good, is almost this shame mentality of we are embracing this more spiritual side of sales, which is beautiful and amazing. And there's so much energetic alignment that's happening. But then there's also a little bit of shame that's coming that we have seen on the front lines of people who are in these programs saying, it's my fault. I'm not vibrating correctly, or I'm not on the right frequency and it's my fault and I don't get the sales. And it almost takes this beautiful, amazing vision for being aligned and operating in the right mindset. And it brings this element of shame that is not the intention of this amazing spiritual movement. And so we are really trying to help people step into the confidence of the outcome of their programs so that they have the confidence to sell and have those specific strategies to help that happen.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I hadn't thought about it like that, but it's so true. I know we talked about it a little bit this week, but just like really hearing you say it back about the shame that's involved with like, if I just was at a higher frequency, or if I just was doing this and that, like it would all come together. And like, is who you are being very important? Yes. Is your frequency important? Yes. Like that's one of the things that's often missing, but there's also like, you need some structure and you need some organization. And that's where like, I feel just so blessed by you coming in from what we're doing, because like you can vibrate at a super high frequency all day long. I'm like laughing, saying this out loud because I have some listeners who are gonna be like, what are you talking about, Elyse? But like you can, and you need some structure and support to help you. And you need to put those tactical pieces in place too. So
it's
love
the balance. And that you said it perfectly, where you have to have the foundation. You have to have the foundation of who you are and the energy that you are vibrating frequency, like all of those things. You have to have that foundation that, heal those core wounds. And then you stack the strategy on top of it. And so it's this beautiful balance that we are trying to help people find, because we have literally I have personally spoken with people who have come to me in tears saying, I'm broken. I don't know. I don't even know what a frequency is. I've read all the books. I've gone to the things, and I'm just not, I'm sitting in my room and I don't even know who I am. And like all of these things that, it's breaking all of that down. It's demystifying these terms and these things and concepts that feel so lofty, and bringing it back home to who we are. Because when we have that foundation, and then we can have a product or a service or coaching that we are so clear about the outcomes, and we are so passionate about them. And then we have on top of that, the sales strategies and the specific tactics. It's just this beautiful balance, this beautiful marriage that can work together to accomplish not only great sales, but to actually impact the world. And that's the end result, because the hard truth is we're all going to be out of jobs. If we're all just selling things that don't make an impact on the world, if we fall into the coaches who are coaching coaches to coach coaches to coach coaches, it's not, if we don't have the end result, if we don't truly put our heart and our soul and care about the outcome and not just the numbers. If we don't care about the outcome, the industry will fall. Like I'm confident the coaching industry, the online business industry, it will fall if we forget that substance, if we forget the outcome. So again, it's just bringing all those beautiful things together, because there is so much good to be done. And there's so many amazing people out there who need this, who need the sales, who need that balance in their life where they can really feel confident to get the sales and to make the impact that they want.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yes. Yes. To everything you just said. Tell us. So I'm like, oh my gosh, this may be my longest interview ever, because I can just keep talking with you forever.
I don't even know what time it is. Who knows?
This is so good. Okay. 2 final questions. One, we haven't yet talked about chickens, which I'm shocked about because
they're so relevant.
Here's what I know. Here's what I want to know, because we just have to get this in. Yeah. What's the best life lesson you've learned from the chickens that you have the privilege of cohabitating with?
Oh, one of the best things has been, again, something we talked about on the podcast, on Sell Me Something Good, but it's really the blend and the beautiful balance in nature of the masculine and the feminine. Because we thought when we first got our chicks, we're going to tell a whole story here.
Yes,
okay. So when we first got our chicks, we thought that they were all supposed to be girls, they were all supposed to be hens, but one of them ended up being a rooster. And we're like, oh no, this is going to be so crazy. Oh my goodness. But he is the most amazing rooster, and to see the way that he, in a completely different energy and what he brings to this flock, it's so entirely different than what the hens bring. And to see him guard them, and he will nurture them, and he will literally, if they are laying eggs, he will march in front of them until they're done. And then he will like do a little call that they're done, and then like escort them back to the flock. Like he is just the most, it's amazing.
I love this.
Oh, it's just so amazing. And it's really just a testament to, we are all so different, and we all have these different skills and abilities and what make us who we are. And those differences are there for a reason. And when we can live in a way that we are complementing each other, and we are lifting each other's strengths up instead of pointing out our differences, and when we can really look into what makes us who we are, and really look at how that complements people who are different than us, and how there really can be harmony, even though there are things that are so different and so seemingly, just at opposite ends of each other. But when you look at that beautiful balance, and you look at this big, amazing rooster who takes care of these ladies, and the ladies just follow him, and he brings them, like, he's so sweet. He brings them food all the time, and like, he'll call them when he finds like a big worm on the ground. Like, it's just the sweetest thing. And we've learned so much just about human nature by watching them.
This is the best story I've ever heard. I swear, I love that. Thank you for rolling with the punches there,
Yeah.
and because that was actually really powerful. Okay, so final question. Where can people connect with you? This has been, I just adore you. I was like, yes, please come on the podcast. And selfishly, I'm just going to have an hour of your time to learn all the things and hang out with you. And I know everyone's going to want to connect with you and listen to the podcast, Sell Me Something Good, and follow you on Instagram too. So please tell everyone where they can connect. And
Sure. On Instagram, I'm Angela.Greaser. You can connect with me there. You can find the podcast on Instagram at Sell Me Something Good. You can also check out my husband and my business, All the Ops, at alltheops.com, and learn a little bit about what we do and how we work with founders. So it's been amazing being here, and I really hope to connect with you guys.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for who you are. Thank you for what you do, because, for everyone who's listening, who's part, and everyone who's listening is part of the She Sells community, but Angela is driving behind the scenes so much of what you see right now, and so much of what we're doing and what we're building and creating. So she is the reason why so many awesome things are happening and coming to you right now. And so I just want to thank you for what you've done for the community and for who you are, and the impact that you make. So thank you for that. Everyone, go connect with Angela. You'll get some really, really cute photos on her Instagram too, of both the girls and the little chickens, and the rooster occasionally too. So, all right, my friends, thank you so much for tuning in today to She Sells Radio. Let me know, tag both me and Angela on social media. Let us know what your biggest takeaways were from this conversation today, and then spread the love too on your social. If this spoke to you, take a screenshot, share it, you know the drill. But basically, we just so appreciate you spreading the word about the message of the She Sells community and the work we're doing here. And we appreciate you being a part of it. So lots of love, everyone. And we will see you next week for our next episode. Bye for now.